I'm Bhakti Lalita, and welcome to the Hari-katha Podcast. And in today's episode, we will be answering your questions. And in the studio today, we have Yuvati Devidasi, and she's got a list of questions, and we can just start.
Dandavats, Bhakti Lalita. First question. By following spiritual practices, maintaining religious principles and doing service, can we be certain to become realized?
Actually, this path we are on is not an ascending path, it's a descending path. So we are to make ourselves as proper receivers to receive descending grace. The word amnai means revealed truth. So we should do something from our side to attract that mercy and grace from above to descend down into our hearts. Something is required from us, but to be assured of success and to understand how divinity works. It's like positive and negative attraction. And if we, the receivers, we're from the negative side, we, with our deep humility, negativity, can attract that positive mercy from above, then the connection will be made. So being receivers and allowing grace to descend into our hearts, making ourselves fit as practitioners with sincerity, with dedication, devotion, following all the practices of devotion, doing from our side what we can, then surrender is foremost. Through Sharanagati surrender, we can be the receivers. And we're dealing with the infinite, who's a person. He has his effulgence, non-differentiated position as Brahman. He has his Paramatma position in every heart, and he is also a person. So we are crying out to that person for grace, for mercy, for his blessings to descend to us, revealed truth to come down to us. So yes, something is necessary from our side, but it is not necessarily going to be dependent upon our endeavors and efforts. We are appealing for grace. So that negativity from our side is actually a qualifier. Negative not in the sense that we're like low self-esteem, depressed. It means more like the attracting element for the positive. That's humility, being humble, being tolerant, giving honor. That's the proper mood to receive. So that connection is there. We are dealing with a generous Lord, and we just need to attract that grace from above, from Him.
What should we remember as we go about our daily lives?
Mm-hmm. One verse, Srila Sridhar Maharaj often liked to quote, Shrivantu Vishve Amritasya Putra. That we are not members of the mortal world, the material world, actually. We're passing through here, and our real identity is as a child of nectar. Shrivantu Vishve Amritasya Putra. We are children of nectar, sons and daughters of nectar. And nectar is referring to the infinite divinity, the Lord, and we are all part and parcel of the Lord. Like Srila Sridhar Maharaj would say, the infinite organic whole, referring to the Lord, we are parts of that infinite organic whole. We are meant to have that connection to the whole and to serve for the good of the whole, and finding our innate presence and position there as a wholesome, functioning servitor, a life of service. So as we go about our day, we try to remember that we are not just, this is not our home, this is not all in all. We are all spirit souls, and we have a higher purpose, and to not lose sight of that, keeping that ideal front and center, that we are children of nectar. We're meant for nectar, and not to be satisfied with anything but nectar. So the Vedas say, awake and arise and search for this conception, this understanding, the reality of who we really are, is finding our intrinsic relationship as part and parcel of the infinite, not members of the dying, mortal, material world. Then if we keep that ideal, that focus, then every day we can do something towards that ideal. We can live according to that ideal and make tangible progress towards that ideal. And then it can become something we can taste and feel and touch and smell. It becomes tangible. So keep at the forefront the understanding that we have a higher purpose, and we'll find our real place in that divine reality, not the mortal world of birth and death.
Is there any confirmation that our spiritual ideas and ultimate goal really exist?
Srila Sridhar Maharaj liked to speak about the syllable Om. Om, everyone's chanting Om in yoga studios. You see it tattooed on people, bumper stickers, Om symbols everywhere, but very few people even know what it means. And Srila Sridhar Maharaj translated it as yes, a big yes, that divine reality exists, God exists, the divine abode exists, the soul exists, reality, the beautiful exists. And what we hold dear to our hearts and are leaving everything for. We're leaving our homes, our families, and with whatever faith we can muster up, we're taking this path to achieve positive and progressive immortality. And that confirmation comes as Om, that yes, what you are doing, what you are aspiring for, it exists. Don't worry, it's there. And it's your birthright. It's meant for you. And come and collect your fortune. Don't hesitate. It's a big confirmation. Om.
How do we deal with and tolerate all the opposing forces in our environment? Oftentimes it's very difficult to find a solution.
Mm-hmm. Well, one method we find our Param Guru Maharaj, Srila Sridhar Maharaj, said, mark the bright side in everything and everyone. Mark the bright side and ignore the apparent side. So what is good in someone or something, acknowledge that, appreciate that, and bring that to the forefront, and ignore what is not like what you find ideal. What you find less than ideal, that's ignorable. And by also tolerating, harmony will increase. So when we find we're in a situation where things are difficult and need to adjust ourselves, the recommendation is, dive deeper, practice tolerance, be humble, give honor, wait and see what leads to what, and let the environment adjust, because it will, and we will also adjust. So this is a movement that we are a part of. Nothing is static, nothing stays the same. So if we are patient and tolerant, then harmony will increase and things will resolve on their own. So there's a place for everything, everyone. And when things are difficult and we're finding some inability to harmonize, wait and see, let things move and change and adjust, and we adjust ourselves. And in this tolerating, patient mood, we'll see that harmony is increasing. And it's all accommodating, Srila Sridhar Maharaj said. By tolerance, harmony increases, and it's all accommodating, where there's room for everything and everyone.
What is one to do when one is constantly being tested? And what if I fail?
Srila Sridhar Maharaj says, sincerity is invincible. If we are sincere, nothing can stop us, nothing can check us, nothing will dissuade us, that we will persevere and be successful. So we need to be sincere, and obstacles may come, and if we take them in the right way, take them in a positive way, that they're there to help us, and we'll be able to see that obstacles are coming, and we need to adjust ourselves and keep our sincerity and keep moving forward. And we see that actually they're coming to teach us, coming to uplift us. So we don't shy away from trouble or obstacles. And so also being sincere, we will be tested if how sincere we are. Are we going to get corrupted by the things in our environment? Or are we going to come through successfully with our sincerity. So we might need to hunker down a bit and really grapple with ourselves and try to be prayerful and come through the obstacles in a way that we're grateful and adjustable. So sincerity is invincible. If we're sincere, nothing will stop us.
If we are ever in a situation where we need to assess other people in our lives, then what is the criteria?
We heard from our Guru Varga, our Divine Masters, that if we are to judge someone, judge them by their ideal. If their ideal is great, then we can see the person is great. Judge a person by their ideal, and we will see that anything peripheral, that's going to melt away. If someone's really true to their ideal and striving for that ideal, then unwanted things will fall away. And we're not to mark the flaws in people's character or their past activities or their flaws and mistakes. That is just being part of human. And we don't want to mark that side in them. We want to see that they're moving with a higher purpose, and they're being purified as they go along by that higher purpose's purification process. That potency of the ideal will purify and correct that person. So, yeah, we might see differences in characters, but if the ideal is great, we have faith that they are also great and becoming great. So in that positive way, we see others with the potential in mind, keeping their potential in mind and seeing how they're progressing towards their ideal, and in this way we can judge them.
What is the way to achieve control of our senses and mind? My mind and senses can be so out of control a lot of the time.
Again, Srila Sridhar Maharaj, we are followers of our gurus, so we are sharing their talks, their expressions, their words. And Srila Sridhar Maharaj said, through a virtuous attitude, we can achieve sense and mind control of our own self. We can control our own senses and our own mind through virtue, a virtuous mindset. For example, we all are so riveted to the mundane and always wanting some gratification from our environment. We see someone beautiful. We want to enjoy that beauty, that person. We want to control, we want to consume them, exploit, which is actually the truth of the matter in this material world. Everyone's running after sense gratification, trying to gratify their senses that are really hankering for gratification, and we end up exploiting each other. And so if we have the attitude that no, this person is not meant for my enjoyment, not for my sense gratification. They belong to the Lord. Everyone's a part and parcel of the Lord and meant for the Lord, for the pleasure of the Lord. They are not for my consumption. They have their relationship with the infinite. Any beauty I see there comes from the infinite. It's a spark of the splendor of the infinite. Then I give my regard. I check myself. No, this is not for me. It's for you, Lord. And it's by your grace and by your power that such beauty exists. So I will not try to always be the consumer, the enjoyer. We're trying to shift out of that from egocentric existence to God-centric existence. So this is shifting our mindset is coming out of everything's meant for my gratification. I'm the center of everything in my world. We're trying to shift out of that to a God-conscious mindset that I am part of the infinite. You are part of the infinite. We are all parts of the infinite organic whole. Then let us serve and not consume and exploit. So that's something very important to consider. Also, we need some self-discipline. There's no police. We are our own police, and we have to have some integrity in what we're doing and check ourselves. Some self-edit must be there. And Saraswati Thakur, Srila Prabhupada Saraswati Thakur said, some discipline is required from our side. And he said, for example, in the morning when you wake up, the first thing you should do is discipline that mind. Take a shoe 100 times and beat your mind. He's not saying literally, it's figuratively. But we get the idea. The mind needs to be restrained. And he says, in the evening, don't just go once a day beating your mind. In the evening, take a broomstick, 100 times beat that mind until it's submissive and can become your friend. Otherwise, you will be a slave of your mind and your senses. And it will drag you here and there and very often be a disservice to you, not be helpful for you. The Gita says, your own mind can be your worst enemy if it's uncontrolled. It can be your best friend if it is under control. I have that personal experience with the mind, the chatter of the mind. Early on in my spiritual practice, I would hear it very often, and it would often, my mind wanted me to do things that I knew were not good, not helpful. So I learned, where is that mind? I'm going to catch it, and I'm going to grab hold of it, and I'm going to tie it up, and I'm going to sit on it and make it quiet. It's going to have to become quiet, and then it will be able to help me when it's quiet. And that's my experience. Grab hold of it, tie it up, sit on it, make it quiet. And then gradually it will submit and become helpful. So Srila Sridhar Maharaj also said, the mind is the seat of karma, and it's the king of the senses. And an uncontrolled mind is like an evil guardian, always beating you and getting you in trouble and punishing you, telling you to do the wrong things. So, yeah. The one thing, the beautiful thing about this process of bhakti yoga is that you don't really need to make a separate endeavor for this mind and sense control. You just engage it in service. You throw yourself into selfless service, to the service of the saints, the devotees, the Lord. Then automatically you don't need to make a painstaking separate endeavor. It's all being engaged, like throwing it into the fire of engagement. It becomes purified. So it's not something that we really have to make a separate endeavor for. It will automatically come under control through service.
We are all searching for fulfillment, but we're never satisfied. People end up doing very self-destructive things to numb that unfulfilled void.
Mm-hmm. The name Govinda, it's a favorite name of Srila Sridhar Maharaj. He named his favorite deity and devotee Govinda. His deities in Navadvip is Gandharva Govinda Sundar. And his successor, Acharya, my beloved Gurudev, Govinda Maharaj, Bhakti Sundar Govinda. And Govinda has two meanings. One, the lover of cows. Everybody knows Krishna is living in cowherd society. Everything is set in cowherd society. And he loves his cows. He plays with his cows. He calls them with his flute. That's one meaning. But another meaning is that he who can fulfill everybody's senses. So we are finite beings, and the Lord, Govinda, he's infinite. And only the infinite can satisfy our hankerings and cravings and need for fulfillment and completeness. We can't find it with another finite. That's why it's always such a strain having to just, find fulfillment with one person. It's too much to expect that one person will be your everything, give you everything, satisfy every whim, every fleeting desire. It's impossible. We'll become frustrated. We'll end up divorcing. But only the infinite can satisfy the finite. The infinite has that power and ability and the resource of fulfilling everyone. Govinda is the one who can fill everyone's heart, fill it with joy and love and sweetness and affection, beauty, charm, all the things we want. We're looking for it in all the wrong places here in this world and becoming frustrated, but we just need to cast our vision upward and look for higher taste and higher happiness and higher affection. And that comes through spiritual devotion, dedication, surrender. And Govinda can come into the heart and satisfy every hankering that could ever be imagined.
What if we just go on, just living our basic lives, eating, sleeping, procreating, defending ourselves, without any kind of awareness.
Socrates, he said, an unexamined life is not a life worth living. That animals live unexamined life. They just eat, sleep, mate, defend. Eat, sleep, mate, defend every day, all day. But humans, we have higher potential to discover the self, discover the soul. We have the potential to achieve divine realization, self-realization, God realization. That's the beauty of human life. We have that opportunity, and we can use this opportunity, use these faculties for crossing over nescience and ignorance and finding our true self. So we all want beauty, we all want happiness, we all want fulfillment. We must search, where is that? How can we achieve it? And who am I anyway? And what is my purpose? What am I here for? What is my goal, aim of life? We must go through some sort of examination, self-examination, and do some searching from our side and find our higher purpose. So we have that chance now, and we don't want to waste that chance. It's easy to get caught up in so many things and lose our focus, but we pray that we can keep coming back to that point of pursuing a higher purpose and finding our real innate wealth in life, which comes through examining ourselves and diving deep into higher culture.
Are you at all concerned about the news and current events in the world, like in the USA, where you were born and raised?
Well, maybe I'll start by saying that, in India, when someone takes sannyas, which is monkhood, they leave home, they leave family, they leave society, they go and wander for their higher pursuit. They are considered in India, when you take sannyas, you're legally dead. You are no longer a member of society. You've renounced the world, and you are no longer obligated to the world, and you should no longer be concerned with any worldly considerations, worries, concerns. So, when one enters into a renounced order of life, that idea is there that we have moved on from the worldly affairs and are now fully focused on spiritual culture. That said, we must be honest with ourselves and adjust ourselves. Where are we really at? And how much are we so aloof from the world and the current events of the world? And I can say, when I was younger, I received this sacred saffron cloth, which is of the renounced order. It's called the Brahmachari ashram. I'm in that role of a renunciate. And as a younger person in that role, I was a lot more hardcore and a lot more fanatical and not so moderate, a little extreme in my approach. But as I have grown older, I've become more moderate. And I also, at some point, understood I need some moderation in my life now. I need to, use toothpaste again. Because when I was younger, I didn't want to keep any money. I felt like this money is filthy and it's gonna seduce me and keep me trapped in this world. I don't want anything to do with it. So I wouldn't keep any money. I wouldn't have money to buy toothpaste, so I was using salt. And then at some point, I started to get a little worn out from this kind of extreme behavior in my life and started to find the quest for moderation. Okay, what works for me in this role? And I had to adjust myself and keep a little money for toothpaste, for the bus, so I don't have to go beg the bus driver every time I need a ride. I have a few rupees for the bus, and this way finding some moderation and also paying more attention to the outside world and being a little more sympathetic to the outside world. I found that came through some personal growth. And when the pandemic hit, I started to keep an eye on current events, the world, because this was something unprecedented, and especially when the rollout was taking place and the mandates were taking place, I was a little concerned about that, and keeping some tabs on what's going on out there and what's going to happen. And also seeing that there's so much censorship. And finally, just in April, I signed up on X, formerly Twitter, to get news that's not censored and news from experts in their field, where you see uncensored data and peer-reviewed papers and scientists and medical professionals talking about these things, and seeing them get censored elsewhere. I did take a little interest in finding more about that and being sympathetic, and seeing what's happening to America is seeing it go off the rails. And so close. We've never been so close to nuclear war as we are now. And, I have family in America, friends in America. It's not just America, it's Europe and the world. They're all, it's moving towards totalitarianism. And it's a little concerning, but keeping an eye on it, but not diving down any rabbit holes and losing sight of my purpose. So even though I'm showing some interest and concern, that's not for me, actually. What's going on in the outside world, all the injustice, big pharma, and it's, all of the corruption taking place. I know that this is a passing show. Our lives here in the world are a passing show, and that this is not all in all what we're experiencing here, that this is a temporary world, the material world, and it will never end. What exploitation is going on in this world won't end, because, as the Vedas say, this is the plane of exploitation where we are living at present. Everyone's exploiting everyone to survive, to live. To live and survive, you must exploit. And that's what's going on in the world. That's the big picture. So when you look with a microscope, what are the different ways of exploitation going on, and this and that, and it can be all consuming. But thankfully I know better. And it's also my duty to help others understand that there is a higher existence, and we do have an eternal life, and we are not members of the mortal material world. We are spirit souls, and we have a higher purpose, and we live in eternality, not bogged down by matter. And this is not everything. And so keeping my higher ideal front and center helps me keep in perspective all the peripheral things that are going on in the world, all the corruption and the exploitation and the injustices. They are temporary, and as Srila Sridhar Maharaj says, a point on a line on a plane in a solid. It's, let it be. Finally, ultimately, at the end of the day, it's not the soul's property. It's the property of the mundane material world of exploitation that's just going to end when the creation ends. And then it will be recreated. But we find solace in diving deep into reality and keeping our focus and keeping ourselves footed in reality, and trying to console others and sharing the news to others that, when we die, all these things will become irrelevant. We won't have to worry about World War III, nuclear war, all the corruption, the corporate capture, the lying and cheating of the world. It will become irrelevant to all of us when it's time to leave. We'll have nothing to do with any of it anymore. And we tend to think that we can die, maybe in 50 years, 100 years. It could happen any second. Our very lives, our existence is being threatened here at every second. Walking out in the street, who knows what can happen? So we have to be prepared for death at any time. Not in any morbid way, but just not denying that we have the understanding that we are mortal beings, and there's danger at every step in this world. So at any moment we could vanish. So keep the perspective on retrospect, have some balance and understanding, and move forward with that high ideal in mind and heart. And then We don't have to be concerned, overly concerned with the world's affairs. It's all a passing show.
Thank you for enlightening us.
Thank
Jai
you.
Bhakti Lalita Devi ki
And
jai.
we answered 10 questions, and there are others we couldn't get to, and sorry if we didn't get to your questions, but we will do this again and keep those questions coming in, and hope you enjoyed the show. And all our inspiration comes from our divine masters. All our knowledge comes from our divine teachers, the Vedas, the holy scriptures, and the saints. And so anything good that you have heard is coming from them. We give all glory to Guru and Gauranga. And we bow down as instruments. We are humble instruments. So, Jai Shishi Gurudev, Jai Param Guru Maharaj, Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Sundar Govindadev Goswami Maharaj ki Jai, Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Rakhak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj ki Jai, Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada ki Jai, Rupa Nuga Guru Varga ki Jai, Harinam Sankirtan ki Jai, Nitai Go Premanande.
Hari Bolo. Jai Shri Bhakti Lalita Devi ki jai.